Okay, last item agenda is Doug Lee.
No, I didn't, but with the Buy Indian resolution, maybe I'll have cupcakes for the next quarterly here. So, Mr. Chair, Mr. Secretary Treasurer, Representatives, thank you for letting me address today. Couple things I wanted to address. First off, was having to do with economic development. A couple things I'm wondering with the hemp and the investment that we made last year of $100,000. It did, I think I addressed you before about how that seed fell to the ground and nothing was done with that. So it was kind of, I felt like it was just a wash. After that, I addressed economic development, suggesting that we put somebody in place as a coordinator to coordinate the project because it's that big. You know, I mean, the numbers are coming out now that I shared then, coming out now in like Forbes magazine. It seems like everybody is, you know, paying attention. I'd like to know where we are with that, with the hemp project, where we're going with it. The last quarterly, I made a question about licensing for members who are wanting to grow. Oh, there you are. For members that are wanting to grow, to get into hemp business. I know at this time there's one licensed person right now growing on the reservation that is a member, but they're licensed through the state. So I'm wondering when we can license, because I spoke with Department of Agriculture last week, and they told me that we are sovereign status, and that their licensing, they have no jurisdiction on our reservation with that. So I'm wondering when we can start licensing to grow. There was a member that was able to lease 80 acres of land from the tribe about 2 years ago for growing hemp. And I inquired about land. I wanted to lease some land. And I inquired about that. They said there's none left. I was like, okay, so after this one person got 80 acres, nobody else can get any land to grow. And they said no. So since then, the same person has been leased the lot from last year where we made the $100,000 investment in Callaway. That same person was able to acquire a lease of that land. And there's still no other land available. So I'm wondering if that violates constitutional Title 13, for individual members' rights, having the same privileges as every other citizen. I have more questions in case you guys want to address any of that. You can jump in. I guess oh, the member, yeah, that was Winona.
Mr. Lee, John, can you write down the questions he's asking so we can have legal take a look at them? Yeah.
I'm wondering, well, I guess the first one, where are we going with the hemp? I'm wondering if it's a violation of constitutional rights, Title 13, to not allow anybody else to lease land for growing hemp. The industry is getting bigger, it's growing fast. I pointed out that there should be somebody in charge. I don't know that there is one person directing the hemp project. I think that Mr. Neusser said that the special projects coordinator position was going to handle that, and I'm not sure that they've made any leeway with that.
Where are we at with that hemp program, Michael? Are we still in the college phase of it right now?
So currently with the hemp project, we do have a special projects coordinator, which you applied for.
Yep.
That person, their main objective right now is hemp. And he is working on a few things. We just received yesterday, I just got this underneath my door from him. He's been working with Hempstead. It's called Hempstead Project Heart. And that's one of the feasibility studies that we have for hemp. So we're just digesting that one right now. And so after we look at that and meet on it, we'll have a little bit more information. And you know, you can stop by any time in the office And so maybe give me a week, and I'll even give you a copy of the study. There's nothing proprietary in there that we can't disclose. As far as what else he's been working on, he's also been working on, I can't get too specific about it, but he's also working with a potential partner in a processing facility. And that's all I want to say at this time. I don't even want to release the partner name just because of the fact that we don't know if we're going to go in that direction or not.
Are they Indian?
They are, I believe they are partially Indian owned because that's the direction we wanted to go. We actually met with two. But I won't go any farther. So please don't ask any more questions on that, Doug. What other question did you have?
Well, I'm wondering about moving forward with John Strophus and Minnesota Hemp Farms. I know it's been almost a year since we brought in about getting our own White Earth branded hemp hearts through him.
I am completely on board with you on that, but as you know, so here's the history on that. We have White Earth Market that sells our wild rice and a couple other products, and we wanted to expand our product line into hemp. And we had an opportunity that you presented to us. I'm not sure if it was when you were working with the college or when that happened, but anyway, it was a good opportunity to have John Strophus' company brand White Earth Market hemp hearts so we could sell it online. That would do two things. One, it would expand our product line, and the other thing it would do is kind of get us into the hemp market so we could understand the hemp market. Unfortunately, we had someone in the land department who worked for legal. I don't know how that, I don't know what his job title was, but he kind of put a hold on that, and I think tribal council just kind of backed away from marketing anything to do with hemp because it's still under Schedule I drug. Hopefully that comes away with the Farm Bill coming up in October when they hopefully push it forward. Yeah, we'll see, right? It's kind of looking good for the hemp in the Farm Bill, but we'll see what happens. But we, in economic development, wanted to push forward with it, but we were just kind of told by tribal council and mainly the legal department to hold off. And so we put the brakes on that. That's where that's at. It's still there.
So what are the possibilities of moving forward with that now?
That'd be illegal. I wouldn't have an answer.
I don't think that there are any legal situations with that. I mean, I was on the phone with the one that runs the hemp program through the Minnesota Department of Agriculture. Mm-hmm. I have her name written down, but on the phone with her, and she said, I mean, if I wanted, I could even buy hemp out of state and have it shipped here and processed that way if I wanted to move forward with the hemp business.
So what, with the Department of Agriculture, Minnesota Department of Agriculture, they kind of go along the lines as they want us and they support us to market our product even across state lines. But when push comes to shove and the feds would get involved, they have already told us that although they support us, they wouldn't be able to do anything legally to help us. So it's kind of a weird situation. You'd have to kind of talk with legal to get the nitty gritty on it because I'm not a lawyer. But that's, and I'm just disappointed as you are, Doug, and you know that. I had the label drawn up, I had the packaging ready to go, and I was ready to pull the trigger, and I got stopped. So that's where it's at. And I'd like to maybe try to readdress that with legal. We did that once already, and about last month, and we were still told to kind of hold off on that.
I think it would be wise for us to try to jump on that. I mean, he's been working on securing a deal with Costco for a few months now, where he'd have 50,000 units every month going to Costco. And he said that we could have our packages alongside of his. Another thing I'm thinking about in regards to hemp is we're in the talks of like hemp homes, you know, and there was that big thing on Facebook about that other tribe that they created 12 hemp home, or little houses, little homes, right? So, I mean, the things that you could make a whole house with hemp, right? The walls, it could be the walls and the insulation, fireproof, rot-proof, rodent-proof, and the CO2 constantly sucks up the CO2, so it's constantly cleaning your air. We could have clean air in the homes for the elders, right?
Just, yes. And we support that out of economic development, and one of the items we were discussing with that processing facility that we're talking about is the other thing that our special projects coordinator is working on is he's been talking with contractors, and contractors for homes are very interested in working with this product. And if we actually had the materials, they would probably buy it off us tomorrow. We're concentrating on cannabinoids, which is more on the medical side just because of the return value, but we are still interested very much so in the construction industry. So out of our division, we're right on target again with that, but we're just have to wait until we actually have material.
I wonder if there should be a separation with economic development and community development, because you're looking at the money aspect, ROI on things. Whereas, I mean, there's a group of people that will come over from Washington that build hemp homes, and they'll do a, you know, like a 3-day workshop, a week workshop. They'll come and they'll show our builders, you know, Lavoie and the builders, and they'll show the community how to do it, how to build a house. I mean, we could get moving on this, right?
Absolutely. But I'd also say that economic development works very much with the community. We work with youth. We work with anybody who wants to come through the door. And
Not me.
Actually, you came in my office and met with me. You know you did.
When's the last time you called me back?
I don't know. Last time, well, number one, I'm happy that you two are, you know, buried the hatchet. You're
No,
back
we
together.
haven't. He's
And
my
if you
brother.
want to come into my office tomorrow, you know you're.
But
more
when
than
is the
welcome.
last time you returned a phone call to me, you liar? Answer that question.
I gave.
When is the last time you talked to me on the phone?
Come on, keep it civil here.
I gave you my cell phone number. I did in my office. I wrote it down. You've never called my cell phone.
Bull. Oh my God.
I'm just telling you. I would
No,
return
you're
your
lying.
call. I don't have a problem returning calls.
You're
I
lying.
have a problem meeting in person.
Okay.
And the last time I saw you was about 2 years ago with Douglas in my office, and we had a nice conversation after you allowed me to kind of have a conversation. And I welcome you to come in my office again. It's not a problem.
You're a liar. Sorry.
I am not a liar. I don't
Yes, you
appreciate
are.
the comment.
I'll prove it. On YouTube, Cannabis RezSolution, in a week, you'll have 40 messages to you. They've all been recorded, Mr. Noiser.
I'm not on Facebook.
Okay, well, the rest of the tribe
Come on, we're
is.
discussing business here, not arguing.
But I'm sorry, forgive me, but since 2004, I told the tribal council in 2004 about growing cannabis. In 2004, where do you think we would be? In the last 5 years, Colorado has made $8 billion. They've made $8 billion in the last 5 years. Where do you think Doug has gotten all this information about cannabis? His entire life, he's been hearing it from his big brother. I've been in the cannabis fight for 25 years. Winona LaDuke was there in front of the tribal council, and she said that I was the expert on the reservation. And yet you guys gave her permission to grow cannabis? And then now you're giving her permission to, she failed. She failed on her first harvest, just like you failed on your first harvest of cannabis. And I've continuously tried and begged and pleaded. But the biggest difference about my proposal about cannabis growth is because I want to do it for the people. You guys want to do it for your pocketbooks, not for the people. If you guys had any integrity, any respect, any Anishinaabe in your blood, you would realize our inalienable rights allow us to grow cannabis. But you call it hemp and you call it marijuana, with continuing the ignorance and not learning what it actually is. And I've begged and pleaded because I am sick and dying with Gulf War illness. And all that happens is you all take my ideas and you tout them as your own. But it's not for the people. All I keep hearing today is about how much we need money, we need money, we need money. And yet you guys spent $100,000. Winona spent $100,000 last year, and all of that cannabis went to waste. We could grow right now, and I can promise you right now, 7 years, 15,000 jobs, 7 years fully independent from the federal and state government. I promise, I count coup that we could do it. Ban me from the reservation if my words are lies. But I've been saying the same rhetoric. Larotte, the police officer, at the last powwow, threatened me that if I passed out any of my pamphlets or buttons, he would arrest me for handing out pieces of paper and buttons trying to educate. I have spent over $70,000 trying to educate people about cannabis. The RTC banned me from doing any more presentations at this community center. You said I could no longer do that. We were having 30, 40 people show up. I did 6 different presentations around the community. It's disgusting. And I think what I would
kind of leading off track here, Kevin.
Well, this is what I'd like to do, sir. On the full moon, I'm going to be doing fast. I'm going to be doing ceremony on the front lawn of the RBC. I'm going to be setting up a wigwam out of cannabis, and I'm going to be doing my ceremony and my fast. And while I'm there, I'm going to start a petition to have a removal of the tribal council by a vote of no confidence, because all of you there right now are making over $120,000 a year when the national or the average on the reservation of an enrolled member is less than $10,000 a year. If each of you took 1/4 cut of your cost, I could initiate a cannabis program that would start the whole fire keg off. In one growing season, we'd be out of our debt. I can promise you that, but you guys continue to refuse to listen. And you, Michael Neusser, you are the perpetual block of not listening. And I
All
know
right,
about
that's
your
enough.
underlying dealings.
Heard enough of that.
So hang on for a second. I'd like to respond just real quick. Douglas, how many times have you been in my office in the last year? About?
Over a dozen.
Maybe even more, right?
Yeah.
Am I pretty much available to meet with you? Sometimes maybe not, but sometimes I take the time.
In person, I usually find you there, and if you're not busy with somebody else, you talk to me.
Yep. Now hang on.
It's harder for Kevin to get from Moorhead.
It is. But what I'm saying is that if you could bring him along next time you have an opportunity. And I do know it's hard for him. And again, I'm open to meeting with both of you. And I apologize you feel that way. It's a bad feeling to have, but please, the door's open.
Yeah, I'd advise the tribe and economic development in moving forward with hemp to utilize all the knowledge that Kevin does have about it.
And I was trying to do that through you, I know, because things weren't between. So, but I was trying to talk with you about that. And we should stop saying hemp. We should say cannabis.
Cannabis.
That's okay. I just want to ask Doug, there was some talk in previous council minutes about a hemp press that some money was allocated for. And I'd like that to, I don't know if anybody knows. Was there money allocated? Did we buy a hemp press? And where is it? Along these lines being we're talking about today.
Yep, there was money allocated. When it was all said and done, I believe we only have about $6,000 or $7,000 left to purchase a hemp oil press. So we're looking for the ability to do that, because typically they cost about $15,000+. So we're trying to do that. And the money, the whole $100,000, that never happened because the money allocated was never spent on a harvester and everything. And that's why it's sat fallow in the field or laid down. But the University of Minnesota did help us and work with us with this project up in the Callaway fields. And they got all their information, all their supportive data, they got that are laid down in there. I did not know that field reverted to Winona Leduc. No one contacted economic development. I would not have let that happen. And so I'm a little upset at that, but that happens. It's a communication thing, and it's unfortunate because now you have wild hemp growing and it's doing quite well. And we do have a field planted up north that's not doing as well. So those are the learning curves on the pilot program, but yeah. So.
I think I'd like to see more membership involved in the hemp project.
If you form,
Community.
yeah, if you form a committee or a community committee or anything, and you and your brother want to be on it and other people, I would be happy to meet with you on a set time period and help me. I mean, right now economic development is, we've got grant writers, but they don't know much about hemp. They just write for other things. And so we have one specialist that would meet with you too, and you could help us. I remember you talking that you wanted to get out there with a community event to do the harvest by hand. I thought that was a great idea. You remember sitting in my office talking about that. But that's under a different division, and I didn't have sway with that. So, okay. But those are good ideas that should be entertained.
Have we finished up with our college stuff? The commitment to the college?
I believe we have. I've wanted to stay with the college throughout the pilot phase because the state of Minnesota is still underneath the pilot program and the pilot phase until they change direction. But right now we're working through the Minnesota Department of Agriculture, and we've kind of steered away from the college again, against my better wishes.
Anybody else got any questions, answers, comments?
The last thing I wanted to ask about was the opportunity for broadband for the members. When we're asking, I've been asking about this for over a year or two. Is there's opportunities. Right now I got a buddy that owns that Wi-Fi internet in Detroit Lakes, and when I was in Frazee 4 years ago, it was about the fastest internet, $50 a month. And it was now he's offering over 100 channels for an extra $20. Yeah. And he wants to come up here. He just wants permission from the tribe to come up here.
Yep. So there's a lot of money out there for broadband. It's one of the big initiatives from the state and the federal level, actually. And we are in communication with Becker County on, working with them on broadband because we share a lot of the same interest in when that, because they're trying to look to upgrade because they're not as good as Frazee. The challenge with broadband is, like you said, for an extra $20. So the challenge isn't getting broadband in the area and speed. It's once it gets to the house, it's having a monthly fee for the citizens or the patrons and the customers. That's where the challenge is. But we are working on we have a feasibility study coming back for broadband. We should be getting it back within the month. And so we're moving along those lines too. But one of our challenges is really being able to make it affordable. You know what I mean? Because it's not free. Once it comes up here, it's gonna be millions of dollars to run the trench. That's fine, and we want to enhance it over and above what other people are doing because we want to go to the next level. But then once it gets here and you bring it to your house, you got to pay a monthly fee, and some people can't afford that. So that's what we're trying to work on as well.
This is what he provides without any wires or trenching. It's shooting from one water tower to another.
Okay, so shooting from one water tower to another can be challenging. We've run into those challenges ourselves just with our phone systems. We were trying to do that and it ran into a whole bunch of different issues. But we've also found that wireless transmission is actually more or just as equal as far as failure rate. So we're interested in it and we're looking into it. Leech Lake's doing something with wireless with their systems, but they're shooting across a flat lake. So we have a couple challenges and some hiccups that happen with shooting wireless, but we're trying to work through them, and that's part of the study too.
Well, I'm just wondering with the elders that don't have broadband, and we're asking them, to get connected. And what I'm thinking is there a way the tribe can work with, until we're waiting for the feasibility studies and all this stuff, market analysis and, what would you charge your members? Is there a way to
if that guy can
provide, and maybe we can work out a deal where tribal members get, fat discount?
So you send him to my office as well, or have him send me an email. You know my email, and I'd love to see that proposal from him.
Okay.
Big Rich, Michael, Dan. All right, I think Raymond had a little issue coming up here. Big Rice is opening up on Saturday, right? They're taking a look at opening up Big Rice on Saturday. So we get it out on Facebook, get it out on the web, daylight hours.
First day is 7 to 1. 7 to 1 on Saturday. I just got to get it okayed with Al, but our rice committee, we did appoint them to determine the lake opening, and they determined today, and they got to give it a 24-hour notice, so Saturday morning, and I will get in touch with Al to let him know. I'll be there.
Jeremy Cassette gonna be up there? Dragon canoes? Anybody got anything else? If not, we'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Motion by Umsey, seconded by Raymond. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, we are adjourned.